Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel for those who've been hanging with me some time, and welcome to those who are new. I'm Citric, intuitive and medium. Alright, so I picked the subject this week all on my own. I didn't ask you guys to vote or anything. I actually have talked to you guys per se via YouTube, Instagram and such about this subject at one time or the other, or even have had suggestions from you. All right, so we got to take a little sip from my girls rule cup. Sorry about that, but I always like to clear the throat and get going. Yeah, and boys rule too as well. And anyway, so the subject is going to be is going to be about, do we pick our parents? Oh yeah, this is a doozy, and this is one that I really wanted to cover for so many reasons. What I mean by the question, do we pick our parents? What I'm referring to is before we come to this earth. Yes, that is what I'm referring to. And this is a big kind of loaded question for so many reasons, and one of them is mostly to do with not people who we've had like ups and downs in your childhood and parents that you kind of get annoyed with and such, and you know, yada yada yada, but it's really for people who question this idea, because if you come from a place where there was abuse and mistreatment and all these type of things, it's hard to imagine that people in those types of settings, and even poverty and suffering, would they pick their parents, you know? And this is definitely a baffling question. And I'll be honest, this is a question that I have asked the other realm many times. And one of the reasons is because I have a lot of sensitivity and compassion and empathy for children and what we all go through in our childhood. So this is what I'm going to say to you. Yes, we do pick our parents, but, and there is a but, there is a meaning and more understanding behind it. So let me back up. For those of you who may not be familiar with past videos that I've done videos on home and what happens after we die, which I refer to as home. And I definitely believe that home is where we come from and where we return. So I do feel we pick our parents, but we don't know the whole story. So kind of take a little journey with me on this. Imagine we're in a place where we know we're going to go to a certain place, and we're going to have this journey, we're going to have this adventure, we're going to have this travel around the world literally, and we're going to go away from our home for possibly 100 years, maybe a little bit more, right? And we know that those who are hosting us in this new place are going to be more like our guides and helping us through this time and this adventure. And that is how I see parents. So in other words, our spirit is in another place and is being born into this place with this avatar body. Parents that we are biologically connected to aren't as grandiose as we make it to be. They are the physical manifestation of our guides and those who are going to help us through this plane on earth. Parents do not own us. Okay? I know there's a lot of fighting, and people get really wrapped up in, this is my blood and this is where I come from and I need to know my genealogy, and this is like a really big part of what seems to be important to us here on earth, to not only separate us, which is always what happens, but to give us, not get us, an identity of who we are. And I don't really see it this way. I see it as avatars that we come to, and these people that we are choosing are guides, are guiding us on this earth, kind of going, hey, listen, this is earth, this is what a body is, this is what fingers are, this is what a nose is. If you look at children and you look at babies and you really slow it down and you pay attention, we're basically teaching these little beings an introduction to the physical world. Think about it. When children are born and they come into this world, we're introducing them what a nose is, what it does, what a mouth does, what fingers do, what our toes do, how we eat, how we hold things. And we say things oftentimes very flippantly, welcome to planet Earth, kid, welcome to the world, right? We're saying this because there's something about it that we feel they're coming in to an introduction. Yes, of course, there's a biology. They're being formed, they're being born into this world. But if you even look at the womb and coming into this world, it is almost like a portal. And I don't mean how you are born into this world. It can be through natural birth, C-section, whatever. The body that a woman is carrying, this physical being, is the portal. Which is kind of funny that I chose this cup, because something told me to. I didn't really plan it. I know it may seem like I perfectly planned it, but I kind of just said, oh, which cup would fit? And for some reason this one came up, because girls do rule when it comes to being portals that are bringing beings into this earth. So if you look at children, we are constantly introducing them into the world. We are their guides. We are taking a responsibility to guide them on earth, not to own them, not to possess them, not to make them of ours, but to guide them and teach them, of course, the best way our parents, and for those of you who are parents, know how. Okay, so the choosing part. I know you're like, Adela, let's get to the choosing part. The choosing part, when you are in this other realm, and this, I'm going to explain to you how I've come to understand this. I do readings many, many times where I can see the baby spirits. I always see them kind of like in a balcony setting. It's just symbolic. When someone wants to kind of check in about their future child. And if I see them close to this person, even sitting on your lap, I'm like, yeah, better be aware that this may happen, because this energy is getting closer and closer. And by the way, many, many times those spirits will tell me things like, you know, I don't know if they're ready, there's things that they have to learn, but they don't know everything. Does that make sense? So let me clarify. It's not like these baby spirits know everything, their whole like future and everything about it. They just know that maybe this parent and this parent has the chance and the opportunity to teach them things that they will need to learn on their path. And even the biological makeup sometimes feels like, for them, okay, this will be a really great makeup for a lesson. So let me put it this way. When we're choosing our parents, let's just imagine it like this. Imagine that you're picking kind of like a scenario. Someone's saying, hey, you're going to live here, you're going to look like this, these are your parents. It's a very brief synopsis of what life might actually be when you come to this planet. You don't know every single detail. You do not. You don't know everything that's going on. You may even know that this parent is having a struggle and having a problem, and that maybe your presence coming in may change them, or they have an option to change. And that is where it gets tricky. And I'm going to be frank, I know as much as I know, okay? I'm not saying I know all of how this works. This is as much as I've learned thus far. And what I've learned thus far is this. So let's say there's a parent that's struggling and having a hard time. So have you ever heard of this before, where people will say, you know, I was going down this path, and when I had kids, it set me down this way, and it changed my life, and I changed as a person. I got my shit together, and I really started to grow and thrive. That was a choice. It's not that the kid came in and this parent just, boom, automatically became this more amazing person. That person chose to allow the child coming into their life to grow. That is always the choice that people have to make, or can make, when they're allowing a new, open-hearted, beautiful being come into this world through them. Now, many, many times people choose not to go down that path, and they choose not to grow, and they choose to stay angry or bitter or wherever they were going, and they head down that path. So what I'm saying to you is, when you are thinking of your own life, well, Adela, why would I choose so-and-so and so-and-so and choose this life? You didn't. You didn't have all of the knowledge. You just knew that these two parents may teach you some of the things you need to know and help guide you, and hopefully you're going to wake them up and they're going to grow. And maybe even if they don't grow, maybe you're going to grow and evolve and move past it. Grace, my cat. And you may grow and evolve and move past it. So you see this oftentimes, right? Where someone comes from a very difficult background and they say, I rose above it and I changed myself and I grew and I didn't allow it to bring me down. And they're almost like a testament to the world through the parents they came from or through the life. I'm not saying it always goes this way. We know that. But these are the individual choices. All I'm trying to say is that we all are still individually on our own path. You are not responsible for your parents' path. You are not responsible for your siblings' path. Your parents are responsible for your path and guiding you in a way that's most important. Now listen, parents are going to mess up in so many ways. Maybe they didn't send you to the right school. Maybe you didn't have the perfect clothes. Maybe they were even horrible people to you and yelled and did all kinds of things that bothered you or you disagreed with. But the bottom line that's important, and of course if parents are coming from the place I just mentioned, they may not be doing what I'm about to say. The bottom line about the parents that we choose that is important is these guides are supposed to put themselves aside and be able to guide you in this world without dumping all of their crap onto you. And this leads me to my next point. We tend to downplay the importance of childhood. We tend to downplay children in general. We have a lot of compassion and empathy towards my cat. Would you guys have as much compassion and empathy if I happen to be babysitting someone's child and they're screaming or something like that? I don't know. So what I'm saying is, I've noticed that we tend to put a lot of understanding towards other things, but we do allow childhood, and I'm talking about your own childhood as well, take a back seat sometimes. Or we tell ourselves, that was then, get over it, move on. Okay, so I had a bad childhood, or things didn't go so well. Or maybe I'm not being the perfect parent and things like this. You know, what can I do? We do need to say, and like I said, it's the valuing, sorry, she's very loud. She's going to town. The valuing of that time and of our childhood is very important. And I feel that people tend to minimize it, and they tend to even minimize children in general and kind of treat children like they're these little people that can just handle everything and not even value the innocence and the beauty and the light that are in all of us when we come to this earth. So the reason why I'm saying this is important is because when we are born and we come into this world, we have this bright, open heart, and we are trusting of these parents. We are saying, I am trusting you to protect me, to guide me, to show me the way, to not do things to hurt me, to not do things that are going to set the rest of my path very difficult. Now, I've seen something go along online that's been going out online a lot, saying things like, let's treat our children in a way that they don't have to heal from their childhood. I couldn't agree more, and I cannot believe that I'm finally being able to see this. I 100% agree with this. And if you're a spiritual person and you don't understand and value not only your own childhood, but the true value of a child and their role on this earth, you got to look at that. Because my sense is that the reason why a lot of times we downplay this and we even downplay it in ourselves, or we downplay it in others, is because children tend to challenge us, and that is their job. Their job and your job to your parents was to challenge them to grow, challenge them to evolve. And children talk back, and children have an opinion, and children start to kind of have an understanding. And my belief is this, and it's also important. If we go from 0 on up, there's unconditional love that is true until 10. I have a strong theory that our spirit is forming and growing. And I've taken child development that I feel backs my theory, actually. And I feel that our spirit tends to grow and evolve and evolve. And we're still kind of in between the worlds for some time. And around 10, our spirit starts to solidify in the body, and we kind of really wake up to the world, and we look around. And if our parents aren't doing this guiding that I'm speaking of, and if it's really bad, children stop loving unconditionally. They start to assess, it's up to me. I'm going to have to take care of myself. And they start to harden. They get more and more solidified in their body. They get more aware of what's going on. They're more here. And they start to look around and they go, you know, I'm going to have to protect myself. I'm going to have to guide myself, because it's only 10 years to 20. It's only 8 years to 18. So know this, children do not love unconditionally forever. And at some point they will challenge you on things that happen in their childhood and even along the way. And that is when you see things in teenage years and things like this where there's a push and a challenge. So with that said, do we choose our parents? Yes, we do, I believe. Do we know everything that's going to happen along this path? No, because you're not responsible for your parents growing and learning and evolving. You are responsible for your own path. We're coming to an involvement and awareness of how we should really be looking at raising children. It's not about the perfect cup. It's not about the perfect food. It's not about the perfect bed. All of those things are semantics. What you do and choose to raise your child is going to be completely different in those details. But the common thread should be, are you guiding them? Are you choosing to be aware, to see their true self? And when you're looking at yourself, kind of realize, be patient, because you may have to remember who you really are, who you came into this world. All of the answers are inside of us. We are born with it. We are born with knowing who we are. But sometimes the guides get a little wonky. Okay? And it happens. And sometimes the guides get a little possessive, and they start to treat their children as little mini versions of themselves, or dump other stuff, their stuff onto you. So when you're going through your spirituality, you need to look at that part of you, because the child, it's not the child in you that people say, it is you. It doesn't go away as the body grows. Yes, biologically our brains expand and we grow and we come to understanding, but that part of you is still running around looking at the world, wanting to believe in love, wanting to believe in light, wanting to believe in the good, and wanting people to see you. So that is what I believe when I look at, do we choose our parents? So with that being the case, know this, there are so much more connections that we have besides our biological. Is there something to it that draws us? Is there a chemical, something that puts off into our bodies that we want to know where we come from? Yes, if you think of it like a machine, an avatar that was made out of certain chemicals, of course you want to see the matching types of chemicals and biology that we're connected to, of course, but it's not everything. It's not everything. So know that. There are other ways we connect, and we have a spiritual side, a spirit in us that does find connection, and other ways that help us grow, and other guides in our life that are going to help us along our path. Okay, so I hope that explains it. It's a big subject in a small video that I'll probably have to do other versions of different things. I know that are going to spawn other questions. I know it's going to, and that's totally fine. Go ahead and put your comments below, and I always answer them. Again, I would like to say I'm still extending my special of 50% off of all my readings while we're going through this time. And I'm doing an awesome class July 11th that I'm excited about, which is telepathic telecommunication, telepathically communicating to higher beings. And what that just means is all the higher beings that you're thinking of. Yeah, if you're thinking of that, that's what I'm trying to show you. It's about how to telepathically communicate. It's just moving away from just spirits into more of a higher frequency. And that just means more experienced. That's it. Don't make it complicated. But I'll be doing that class on July 11th, and you can go to my website and sign up for it there. All right, guys, be safe, because we are still going through something. Please be aware of it. There's still things going around. Take care of yourself and be safe. Follow yourself. Follow no one. The answers are built inside of us. Listen to that, and I'll see you soon.